How's everybody doing? I wanted to do this video because I wanted to be more clear on what is 5 at 55. I've mentioned it throughout several of the videos I've done. Um, I'm really hoping to be able to reach people and have a place where people can come and uh, share experiences, have a place where they can learn from others, and just gain some insights maybe, or like I don't have insights. I'm hoping other people will uh, contribute and be able to talk about their experiences. Um, so, kind of briefly, I'm not going to go through the whole story, but earlier this year, so this year I turned 55, which was a shock. I'm still 30 in my mind, uh, probably 9 in my maturity, something like that. Uh, so I thought, okay, what can I do at 55 years old? Sort of a goal. And backing up a little bit, about probably 6 years ago, I started. I hate to admit, a job I once worked at. They had a wellness program that a lot of it seemed really silly, and it was sort of you had to do this to keep your health insurance premiums lower and gain points and different things. But along the way, it did bring some awareness to some health, just to be more healthy. And I started to sort of pay attention. I tried a few times to do a few things, um, and was doing a really poor job at it. And more than anything, I gained weight, which was not the direction I wanted to go. This coincided with a in the middle. Well, at this point, probably not as bad, but back in 2015, I reached a breaking point of mental health. I was struggling desperately with mental health that had been building for several years, and was at that point in 2015 really considering um, taking the shortcut out. And I don't mean shortcut in a negative way. I just mean uh, I couldn't see an end to the pain that I was feeling and the burden I felt like I was on my family. And I thought this is probably the best thing for everybody involved. And that's a brain that is running on not being clear on what's reality. And so I don't want to make this too long. I feel like I'm already too long, but in 2015 was about the time I got some help. I was feeling a lot of anxiety, and the anxiety had gone for so long it had kicked over to depression, and to the point of, let's just say, there was some working up to it, some sort of practice runs, seeing what it felt like, not actual causing any damage, but actions that were leading that direction, just to see what it was like. And I can honestly say my family is the thing that saved my life. Uh, they were not the only thing, but all the other things that helped didn't measure up to what my family did for me. And had it not been for them, all those other things that were helpful wouldn't have been enough. So moving forward again, back to 2020, I'd gotten some therapy. I'd gotten some help in the end of 2015. I can just jump back and forth. Uh, Beginning of 2016, I finally got on some medication, and that was the defining ingredient, or the final ingredient, to me turning around and heading back in the right direction. And as I was able to do that, uh, my wife Tyra, who is just amazing, boy, she put up with a lot, and I don't mean like I was outwardly crazy nuts or like yelling and screaming, nothing like that. It was just I was very short-tempered, meaning I don't yell and scream when I'm mad, unless I'm alone. Then I do, but just in the sense of I wasn't there. I was not present. I'd be in the same room and be somewhere else and thinking about. Usually, it was work and stress, and um, at the time, work was okay, but it could have been better, and it was just a long, long road. So um, finally, in 2016, I got the medication, and things were headed better. But Tyra, she suggested a few times, like I had some hobbies or something I like to do. I liked photography a whole bunch. I still really, really do. And she would suggest, well, why don't you go out and take some pictures, or go for a drive, or do this or that. Got my dog here. One of them. We got two. Um, this is the more annoying, licky one, Kip. Anyway, nothing seemed fun. I didn't want to do anything. The weekend would come, and I didn't want to do a thing because anything besides just sitting was taking away from just being able to relax. I just wanted to do nothing because that meant I could just relax, put everything aside, not worry about anything. And even if it was something I liked to do, it was taking time away from just doing nothing. And so I didn't do a whole lot of things. But one day, finally, um, Tyra had suggested taking a walk. And she suggested that quite a few times. And finally, one day, I'm like, okay, I'll take a walk. And that was pretty nice. And then at work, I started taking walks on breaks and lunch, and extra walks to get out of my office. And I'd walk first around. I worked at the Box Elder County building. If anyone's ever seen it, it's a really cool old 170-year-old building, something like that. With great big, excuse me, great big white pillars in front. So fantastic building. I'd walk around that 3 or 4 times, and then I started walking around the block, and this walk near my house. Uh, I started doing this, and it's a 3.5 mile walk. This loop I take, and it's a really nice walk. A lot of it's just on dirt road, and it's pretty nice. And then so I started doing that actually lots of mornings on the weekend when I didn't work. I'd get up and walk in the dark and walk in the cold, and there's one section, um, starting in a corner where my younger son Jed, I'm going to out him a little bit. We just bought this used car from some neighbors. It's a Subaru. It's a good car, um, and he was driving it. Well, he calls me one day. Hey, can you help me pull me out of a ditch? I'm like, oh, sure. I didn't know what had happened. I get there, and he's got the whole car sideways in a canal, and that was the end of that car. But that was an aside. So starting at actually the corner where he drove off the road, it's zero point 0.4 miles from that corner to the end of the road where it meets the highway. And I decided one day I'm just going to jog this. And man, when I got to the end of that 0.4 mile, I was freaking dead. But it felt so good. I remember I was just like, hell yes, I got this done. I was on cloud nine, and it felt good. And probably that, the walking, the getting medicated, getting counseling, getting on the road to better mental health, all those things, I guess sort of started a mental and physical health journey. Well, I didn't start, I just accelerated it. And then there's back in 2023, so 3 years ago now, I'd gotten in good enough shape. So I started doing this walk, and I'd run that part. And then another part of it, I added the length of the walk. And then a couple of different parts of it, I would jog it, and I started eating a little better, and feeling better about myself physically and mentally, and was able to actually get it in a little better health. And this is not supposed to be or meant to be a get in shape sort of channel. This was just my path, um, because physical activity seemed to be the thing that gave me the endorphins and something to accomplish, and whatever that might be for you is great. So anyway, I got in good enough shape in 2023 to run the Peak Stage 5K, and in my age group, I actually came in third place. Now this is out of 6, I believe, so it's not like I beat hundreds of people in my age group, but felt good. Felt good to even do it. And I'd run this a few times already as practice working up to this, but it was really neat to do. And I'm sorry if this is going on, but I really appreciate you watching to the end. And so along the way here too, I've got a lifelong friend. Yeah, I'll say his name, Carl, and he been in the military, and he and his family had settled in Manti, Utah. So he was finally closer to see him. I've known him since I was 9 years old, but that distance is still a couple hundred miles, so we didn't actually see each other all that often, but occasionally, and it was nice. And so it wasn't like he was in Germany or Alaska or some of the places he's been, Texas, that it just probably wasn't going to happen. He was better about coming out to Utah than I was going anywhere else, but he's got family here, of course, too. So anyway, in 2024, it was Thanksgiving, and I posted something on Facebook about when we were kids, me and Carl and another friend, Paul, had been prank calling people on Thanksgiving Day. Not mean pranks, just calling and seeing if we could get people to talk. And we actually got one guy to talk for a long time. And I think we were like 14 or something like that, 14 or 15. And so it was kind of fun. And I mentioned that. And Paul, who we were Facebook friends, but I haven't actually talked to him since like I was 21 years old, something like that. And he messaged us. He lived in Indiana and had been going through some rough times. I'll let him talk about that if he ever wants to. But Carl and I decided to go out to Indiana to see him. And so we flew out there, and man, talk about an amazing reunion. It was so much fun. We'd previously, planning this, we'd had a Zoom call, and I hadn't actually heard his voice in 30 years. We've, like I said, Facebook friends and had sent messages, but hadn't actually talked. But he was one of our good friends, in the 13, 14, 15, 16 years old, and had a lot of fun times then. And life happens. He moved to Indiana. Carl was in the military. I stuck in Utah, but so we hadn't been together in all that time, and it was just so much fun. And we spent a couple of nights there at his house, and he showed us around, and went axe throwing for the first time ever. And I haven't been back, haven't axe thrown since, but it was a lot of fun. And took us to this donut place that was an Amish donuts. Holy moly, they were so good. Whew. And so anyway, we came home. This was January actually of 25. Yeah. Oh, 24. That was January of 24. So the Zoom calls and the talking happened in 2023. Time flies. So January 24, we went and saw him, came home, and then it wasn't just a few months later, Paul ended up moving to Utah. Now he lives in Vernal, which is northeastern Utah. Carl, central Utah. I'm northern Utah. So we're still all a couple hundred miles apart, but we have seen each other. So back in 2024, in September, this is 2 years ago, the three of us decided to hike Kings Peak, which is the highest point in Utah. And we got together and we hiked it and we did it. And man, it was tough. And that's a 26-mile round trip. And so we spent one night, we hiked in 8 miles, spent the night, and then hiked Kings Peak, back to our camp, and then hiked out. So one day was 8 miles, one day was 18 miles. And, but man, it was great. It was so much fun. We bonded. So we tried it again last year in September. We were going to spend 2 nights. So we hiked in again, spent one night, and then the weather the next day wasn't great. It was kind of rainy, and the weather moved in. So we didn't quite get there. We got pretty close. We were within sight of the peak and almost to the base of it. But we decided with the weather, we weren't gonna do it. So then we just hiked out. So we again spent one night there. We're hoping to do it again next month in September, and this time we're hoping to do it all in one day, which is something that people do. It's a long, long day, of course. 26 miles. We'll start early in the morning, hike all the way up and all the way out, and so that'll be interesting. Now, Carl's got a new job that's going to take him out of state again, unfortunately, but hopefully things will work out that we'll be able to do this again. Along the way, I started hiking myself. I guess is what I'm working up to locally, and so I hike. There's a Box Elder Creek trail near me that is a 4.5 mile loop, and I've done that one a lot of times now. It's one of the reasons I picked this was because back in 2009, I want to say, when I was involved with the youth group in our church, my son was 12. We did this thing called a death hike, and it was hiking up this trail, which is about 2 miles in, and then hiked up over the mountain down into Perry, Utah. I was dead last, not even by a little bit. People were finishing eating dinner when I dragged myself into camp that night, the 2 miles, and an steady uphill, but not terrible. So I decided to pick this one, and so now this is a hike that you got to put some effort into it, but it felt good to be able to just do the hike and do it without stopping, and it's really nice to have gotten there. I started doing that, and I started doing some other hikes. Last year, I hiked Ben Lomond Peak, which was a difficult hike, and that one was long, and I went past Ben Lomond, and so that whole hike was about 20 miles, and took about 10 hours to do that one. And I go to the gym weekly now. Usually I try to do twice a week or 3 times if possible. All of these things to say that when I got to 26, when I turned 55, I thought, what's a goal I can do? First, it was going to be to do sort of a unofficial ultramarathon and run 55 kilometers, and which is like 31 miles or something like that. That would not be a nonstop one, but it would be just, I'm so interested in these people that do these ultra marathons. Like there's one in Moab called the Moab 240 mile marathon that takes several days for them to do. And I'm just crazy interested. There's another one called the Barkley Marathon, which is a 100 mile. It usually apparently ends up being more like 120 miles nonstop within 60 hours. And out of the more than 1,000 people that have done this, because they only allow like 12 or something people per year, out of the more than 1,000 people that have done it, there's been something like 15 people that have actually finished it. So interesting. I'm not sure I would try that one, but just interesting to watch. There's several movies about it, like documentaries on YouTube. And so this year I thought, no, that's not going to work because I have this IT band. It's a tendon in my left knee that gets really, really painful. And sometimes I can't run a mile and a half, and sometimes it doesn't bother me at all. And so after that much distance, it's almost guaranteed to cause me problems, and I probably won't be able to finish. But I thought, okay, I'll hike 5 peaks at 55 years old, just for fun. But then I started thinking about why I started doing all of this in the first place, and it was for mental health, getting in better shape, getting up in the mountains. There's a term, and it's Japanese, and I don't remember the term, so I won't even guess at it, but it basically means being in green areas, what it does for the human mind. And it doesn't even have to be like the mountains. It can be a park, or it can be somewhere where you just get off the concrete and into something that's a little more in nature. And like I said, even if it's a park, does good things for mental health. And so I spent some time trying to think of which 5 peaks. And so the first peak I did again was Ben Lomond. I wanted to start with something that was, and all of these had to be difficult, but I wanted to start with something I'd done before, which was Ben Lomond. And this one I just went to Ben Lomond and back, so that was about 16 miles. The next one I did was Box Elder Peak, which is also close to me. Uh, and that was really difficult because it was extremely steep. It was in the Wellsville Mountains, which the Wellsville Mountains, I can turn and look at them just like that. They are the steepest mountains apparently in the world. I haven't even checked on this. Now, they're not the tallest by any means, but when you compare base width to the height, they're, if not the steepest, they're among the steepest mountains in the whole world. So it felt like that. That was a difficult one, and my IT band on the way down was just killing me. I had to sort of limp it out the last bit, and that one is about 11 miles, so it wasn't terribly far, but it was really steep, very difficult. The third one I did was a couple of weeks ago called Pfeffer Horn, and that's up Little Cottonwood Canyon and above Salt Lake. That one was difficult. Box Elder was harder. There's apparently a Box Elder Peak down near Provo, and this is not that one. This one's here near Brigham City, where I live. And so Pfeffer Horn was beautiful. It was amazing. It was a lot of work, and it was worthwhile. This coming week, so today is Sunday, what day? The 9th. On the 13th, I'm hiking Timpanogos, which I've never done before. I know a lot of people do it, and I'm, for whatever reason, kind of nervous about this one. I'm not sure why. Just the length, maybe. I know it's a difficult one as well. And then the last peak, again, is going to be Kings Peak. And then what makes this one different is the all in one day, like I mentioned. And hoping that we can, all three of us, get together. We're hoping Carl will make it. Carl is hoping he can make it with the transition he's going through at the moment. But if not, I think Paul and I will still give it a go. And all of this to say, I'm so concerned about mental health, and for men and women. Obviously, I know more about men's mental health, but uh, it's just one of those things that has been stigmatized forever. Thankfully, it is less of a stigma now. You hear about it a lot more, but it's still one of those things that people are like, a lot of people still don't believe in it. My old boss, when I worked here in town, he didn't believe in it. A lot of people just don't believe that mental health is a thing, but your brain is part of your body, just like your IT band, like I've got a problem with, or your arms, your legs, or anything else that can get hurt or get damaged or something goes wrong with it. Your brain can do the same thing. There's a website I found. I haven't looked at it for a while, but it's called mantherapy.com. Obviously geared towards men, but it probably has stuff for both men and women. And it's a really lighthearted way to tackle a serious subject, and very useful. It even has a sort of called a head, I don't know, it's like a survey. You take a survey and it sort of gauges where you're at mentally. Back when I was at the worst, I took that survey a couple of times, and the screen it took me to when I hit calculator finished or whatever, basically popped up with a crisis hotline number and get some help right now, is what it was telling me. Now when I take that, it says, "Now you're doing good. Good job." And my family, again, has so much to do with that. Our family, a few years ago, we had a sort of a meeting together. I don't want to say meeting, a family get together. It was at our house here, and we all were able to talk about anything we wanted and air a lot of things that were built up inside, and it brought our family so much closer together. And our family now is more open than ever before, and I'm so grateful for that. And it changed the dynamic and direction of our family, and in a good way. So that's why I'm doing all this, and I hope that you will come along for the ride. Now after this, I've only got 2 peaks left. It's not going to be over after that. I'll try to post it once a week or so. I'm not like a daily kind of person. I don't know that I've got that much to talk about, and I'm sure you don't want to listen to me every week. And they won't be this long at all. I just wanted to get this whole thing out and explain what was going on. And another one of the things that I found helpful, besides all the hiking and all of that, and the physical health, is a lot of yard projects. I hate things like weeding or that kind of thing. I don't mind mowing, but I've built a lot of things in our yard projects that I'm not super good at, and I learn along the way. But that keeps my mental health going as well. And so you'll probably see projects that I've done, like the stuff you can see here in the background, those swings back there. That was one of the last things I did. It's not quite finished, but those chairs, that was kind of a fun one. I got some help with my future son-in-law digging the holes, and I'm really grateful for that. And I get help from, my 2 boys have helped me put up this metal. You never know what to call it. It's not a pergola, but it's a little metal covering that they helped me with a little bit with this, and some of the bricks on our patio back there. One of my sons helped me with, and we're building a garage, and I've had some help with that from my boys, and I appreciate that. So you'll see some of that. Anyway, I want people to, in the comments or whatever, this channel is extraordinarily small. I would like it to grow, so please like, share, whatever. Tell people that you might be interested. That I want to be able to have comments and talking about things they've done for their own mental health, or just things that they're doing that are fun, whatever that might be. Your release might be hiking, it might be yard work, it might be working on cars, it might be art, it might be photography, whatever. It would be really interesting to know what people do to strengthen their mental health, have a hobby, get away from the thoughts of work. I hope none of us are working or living to work, but we're working to live. Obviously we need an income for life, but I hope that's not the most important part of our life, is the job. And unfortunately, it takes up a huge part of our life. I mean, a third of it just on the hours, if you do an 8-hour day, but you're asleep to a lot of that, so it's more like half, and it's the middle part of the day, so it's more than half of our lives, generally speaking, at least during the week, that we're not with our families, and we're in a place that's hopefully not bad, but obviously none of us would go to work for free, or very few of us. So anyway, I appreciate if you've stuck it out this long. I appreciate it. I know we're up to 28 minutes. Holy crap! I can't believe I've talked that long. I'm usually not that much of a talker. So thank you, and I will post more videos on the hikes and other things like in the yard here. And please comment. Please subscribe to the channel. Like I said, it's so small, and I'd really, really like it to get out there a little more. And have a great day.